We just passed the midway point of the NBA season. All-Star Weekend is coming up here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yes, I wish I was going to the game, but given the fact that we are halfway through this NBA season, I wanted to talk about the All-Star Game starters and where things stand in the NBA standings right now. Welcome back in, ERB sports fans, to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about the NBA All-Star Game starters, whether there's any surprises or snubs, the NBA standings, and everything in between basketball related. In front of me for your viewing pleasure, we've got a pink fluorescent De'Aaron Fox out of 10 that I got on a buy it now from eBay a couple of weeks ago, and a Giannis Antetokounmpo Select PSA 10 rookie from 2013 NBA Select. All-Star starters for the Eastern Conference. No surprises here, pretty much. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton for the first time, and Damian Lillard. Well, Tyrese Halliburton for my Indiana Pacers, he really doesn't have a true NBA card market, so to speak. The others on this list kind of do. Dame Lillard, I suppose, was a popularity contest given the fact that he came over to the Bucks. You look at point guards in the East and you say, well, who is going to make it? I guess you've got Donovan Mitchell, you've got Tyrese Maxey, you've got guys like, LaMelo Ball. I suppose he's not really a true point guard, but he's been hurt most of the year. Trae Young. I'm probably forgetting a few names in there. So who was it going to be? Was it going to be somebody from one of the bigger teams in the East, like the top three? Maybe. Well, the Bucks are currently the number 2 seed, second best team overall in the NBA as far as record goes. And Giannis and Dame making the starters for the All-Star game, not really a surprise. Jason Tatum, not a surprise at all. He's very popular. Joel Embiid, not a surprise at all. He's the MVP frontrunner. Tyrese Halliburton, though, that was kind of a surprise, but kind of not. He's been hurt lately, and I know obviously the Pacers have been kind of falling to a mid-pack team when it comes to the playoff seeding right now in the East. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens when he comes back, and he's going to be playing in front of the home crowd, so that's definitely going to be very, very good for him. And like I said, he still doesn't have a great market when it comes to selling cards. The market here in Indianapolis is kind of small. Indy Card Exchange, though, one of the better card shops in the country. Andy pumps that thing like nobody's business. Andy, if you're watching, give me a shout out, please. You don't have to, but maybe it'd be great if you'd watch now and again. But yeah, in the East, I guess to summarize, no real surprises there. I've almost forgot. Sorry about that. Jalen Brunson. I think he kind of got the shaft. How could I forget about him for the New York Knicks? That was kind of a surprise that he didn't get named as a starter instead of Dame. But we move on. In the West, no surprises here for the most part. A little disappointed Mr. Foxy did not get to be the All-Star Game starter for point guard from the West. But heck, Steph Curry's not even on this list right now. So that's kind of surprising too. On the West, we've got LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic playing absolutely great right now, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the emergent Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess the only surprise of guys that made it as a starter might be the fact that Durant is on this list because he hasn't played a ton this year. He's missed some time due to injury and other rest management, whatever things going on. But overall, LeBron, popular. The Lakers, though, they're kind of a play-in team right now. They did win the in-season tournament. Kevin Durant for the Suns. They had a mega comeback against the Kings the other night, but still, they're kind of floundering right around that play-in spot. Nikola Jokic for the defending champion Nuggets. No surprise there. Obviously an MVP frontrunner. Luka Doncic, probably number 3 in the MVP voting right now. He scored 73 points last night when Kyrie Irving was out. I think he really wanted to outdo what Joel Embiid did recently. We'll see if somebody else outdoes them and goes for like 75 or 80. But we have had 3 guys in the last couple of nights score over 60 points, 60 real life points. We've had Joel Embiid go for 70, Karl Anthony Towns go for 62, if I'm not mistaken, and now Luka Doncic go for 73. So The Kings play the Mavericks later tonight. I'm definitely going to be watching that game. We'll see what happens. For some reason, the Kings always get lucky and play the Mavs on back-to-backs. I don't know why, but the Mavs just played last night. I know Kyrie didn't play, but the Kings now come in on a day or two rest after they beat the Warriors really kind of marginally the other night. But now they come in and they have to play the Mavericks on the road, and the Mavs are on a back-to-back again. So the last time these two teams played, the Kings blew them out, and the Mavs were on a back-to-back after they had played the Bucks. So we'll see what happens tonight. Overall, as far as snubs go, I wouldn't say in the West there are too many snubs. I mean, obviously, I thought Steph Curry would be named as a starter, but in reality, the Golden State Warriors are just a very bad basketball team this year, and we're just going to have to see what happens. Maybe that team makes a playoff run. Maybe they don't. I don't know. They probably need to blow that team up at some point and start over. Apparently their salary cap with luxury tax is like $400 million, and they're playing absolutely terrible. So age is starting to show for Draymond, Klay, and Steph a little bit, probably more so Draymond and Klay than Steph. And the younger guys that they've drafted just have not worked out. A couple of the guys they already moved off of. They've moved off of Wiseman. They moved off of Peanut Butter and Jelly, Patrick Baldwin Jr. They moved off of Jordan Poole last year. They brought in Chris Paul. It hasn't really worked out. Obviously, the playoff time can be different, but I don't know what's going to happen with the Warriors. All right, in the East, running down the top 10 teams in the East right now. Who's hot, who's not? Celtics, number one there at 35-10. Bucks, 31-14, just lost a game against the Cavs last night. They fired their coach after just 43 games. Adrian Griffin now brought in Doc Rivers. I don't know. Obviously, they have high expectations in Milwaukee, as they should. They brought in Dame. They were bounced in the first round last year, surprisingly by the Heat. The Heat made a run all the way to the finals. The Bucks have underachieved except for that championship year. By and large, they probably needed to make that move. I don't know that it's the right move to get them to where they want to be, but shaking things up like that, I don't think they were going to win the championship their year with Adrian Griffin. They probably weren't. They were probably a second-round exit, honestly, and that's probably being generous. 76ers now with a new coach over there in Philadelphia. They're 29-14. Cleveland Cavaliers, solid. They've had a really, really good January playing hot basketball as of late. 9-1 in their last 10 games. 27-16. They're a team that could make a run, but it really depends on how they match up in the second round, whether they get out of the first round, because they're probably going to have to play the Knicks. And last year, I think those two teams played, and that was really tough for which one of those teams was going to make it to the second round. And I think the Knicks won last year pretty easily, like 4-1. So anything can happen there. The Knicks made a lot of trades ahead of the trade deadline, trading for OG Anunoby and trading away Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. And they've been playing much better defensively, 28-17 overall, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Then we have the Pacers, 26-20. I think they won last night. Yes, they did win last night. That's right. And they also beat the Sixers the night before. So without Halliburton, this team is probably like a 6 or 7 seed. But with Halliburton, maybe a top 4 seed. We'll have to see. It's very tight in the East. Then you got the Heat, the defending Eastern Conference champions at 24-21. The Orlando Magic, the upstart Orlando Magic, who started the year much, much hotter, but are now 3-7 in their last 10 games. So they're kind of floundering. But they also suffered a little bit of injury bug at the middle part of the first half of the season with Franz Wagner going down with injury. And then we have the Bulls and the Hawks rounding out the top 10. And unless one of these teams gets hot, these teams are not making it deep into the playoffs. The Bulls are 21-25, below 500. They're the 9 seed right now. The Hawks are 18-27 and got blown out the other night by the Kings. And they're looking to probably trade some guys away. And then you've got the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons rounding out the East. So anything can happen in the East. I would say your top 3 teams that I think are going to make it the deepest, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Knicks. I think those are the three teams that you'll see make the deepest push. In the West, man, what a difference a year can make. Last year, we had the Nuggets at the top. We had the Kings at the top. I think we had the Suns near the top of the West last year. But this year, man, the Thunder, 32-13, 8-2 in their last 10 games. This team is very talented. They are reaping the benefits of that Paul George trade right now. They've drafted well. Their young guys are playing. They're healthy finally. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing great. Jalen Williams is playing great. Chet Holmgren's playing pretty good. They've got some depth, and this team isn't done drafting players that the Clippers gave them, which is just astonishing. I mean, that is like a Herschel Walker level trade that they executed, getting all those picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Paul George. It's probably one of the best trades in NBA history. The Thunder have turned their franchise around. The T-Wolves with Ant-Man and Cat, I'm surprised that they're maintaining this second seed right now. They're actually tied. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Probably has a head-to-head tiebreaker because of the Thunder maybe beating the T-Wolves or whatnot. But you have the T-Wolves who've pretty much been riding the front the whole season. Mike Conley's their point guard. The team has decent depth, but I'm really surprised with Mike Conley as their point guard that this team is playing as good as they are. Because when he was on the Jazz last year, they were terrible. They were not good with him on the Jazz, and he couldn't stay healthy. So that surprises me. I know that they've been a little inconsistent lately. They've got a very good home record, though, so we'll just have to see what happens. The Clippers, ever since they got James Harden, they have been in an absolute tear. 29-14, 8-2 in their last 10 games. If that team stays healthy, they could be a team to be reckoned with in the West. I just dogged Paul George for that trade, but you've got PG-13, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden all on the same team now. That team could make a deep playoff run if they stay healthy. And you got the defending champs at 31-15, the Denver Nuggets. I don't think they're going to repeat as champions, but they're going to be a solid playoff team. Then you got the Kings, who actually moved up in the standings recently with a couple of wins after a 4-game losing streak, and everybody was ready to throw De'Aaron Fox to the curb, and everybody was ready to say, blow the team up, you need to start over, oh my God, the trade deadline's coming. I can make a separate video on that. You guys know I'm a Kings fan. If you guys are fans of the channel, you've been here enough. You know I talk a lot about the Kings. I talk a lot about De'Aaron Fox. And quite frankly, yes, it was disappointing to see a 4-game losing streak, but losing streaks happen. Things happen. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's like an NFL team losing 1, maybe 2 games in a row, losing 4 in a row. It's not that big a deal. A lot can happen in the NBA. A lot of things can happen. Obviously, there's a lot of time left in the schedule. You got 40-some games left to get you where you want to be. Of course, lulls are going to happen throughout the season. Of course, drama is going to happen. What did you expect? They're not going to win every game. Even the best teams, they're not going to be the 73-9 Warriors. That was an anomaly. That was a complete outlier. Are they going to win 60 games? Probably not. But are they going to win 50? They very well could. They got 25 wins to get to 50 wins. If Kings fans think 50 wins is a bad season, guys, you need to look in the mirror. This team was terrible for the better part of 2 decades. Be happy with what you have. A team that competes for 50 wins a season is a good team. And it's going to be better next year. So give it time. Don't panic. I am sick and tired of listening to some of the Kings media say how, here we go again. The Kings are being Kings. They blew a 22-point lead. They lost in the last second game to Milwaukee. Stuff happens. I can make a separate video on that. We're going to move on. I'm going to jump off my soapbox now. We're going to cover the rest of the West. Enough about that. Then we've got the Suns. I thought they were a little bit further down in the standings. They're number 6 right now behind the Kings. Pelicans, who've had the Kings number the whole year. If the Kings and the Pels match up in the playoffs, my God, I think the Pels are going to sweep them. They've won 4 in a row, and it hasn't even been close with that team. Then you got the Mavs, Luka playing great, Kyrie playing pretty good, but that team has almost no depth whatsoever. So they're 25-20. And then you've got the Lake Show. They were the winners of the in-season tournament, but I think that was somewhat of an anomaly, and they obviously wanted to win that series to get to be the first in that particular case to win the in-season tournament when they beat the Pacers. You got the Jazz, who've played a lot better as of late, and the Rockets, who are sliding, and then you got the Warriors. You've got three teams. There are four teams that are within a couple games of each other. You got the Lakers, the Jazz, the Rockets, and the Warriors all tied in the loss column, but just have different win totals. The Warriors 19 wins, Jazz 23 wins, Rockets 21 wins, and Lakers 23 wins. So anything can happen with these last couple of play-in seeds. The Warriors have to get hot if they want to make the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to fire Steve Kerr after the year? Has he lost the locker room? The too much Draymond kind of caught up with you finally? The age of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green with very little depth, very poor draft picks, finally caught up to that team? Probably so. But anything can happen. The last half of the season here is going to be very exciting. Cannot wait for playoffs this year. I think you got a lot of parity in the league. Somebody different's going to win the championship, and it won't be one of the big two that we're used to of Lakers, Warriors. I think you're going to see somebody different. I think you're going to see the Celtics finally break through. You might see the Thunder or the Heat. Not the Heat. The Thunder or the T-Wolves or the Clippers. I think the Clippers could make a lot of noise. And I think the Knicks are obviously playing a lot better. So anything can happen. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more content. Let me know what you guys think about this year's basketball season. Are you paying attention? Are you finally paying attention? Or are you ready for baseball season? And I'll see you in the next video.